Welcome to Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and we're in Sacramento today. We are joined by Bob Huff. He is the Senate Minority Leader Emeritus. He is running for Los Angeles County's Board of Supervisors. I'd like to speak with you, sir, about education. And there is a concept, we've heard about it, not a lot of people know about it, and it's known as District of Choice. Explain the District of Choice movement, basically.
So there was originally an intent to get vouchers, and you remember there's an initiative so that you could take this school voucher and take it to a private school, public school. District of Choice is an outgrowth of that would keep school children within the public system, but give the parents a little bit of choice.
I see. So in this type of paradigm, what we see is a district needs to declare itself a district of choice. Okay. And in that case, a student can move to that district without acquiescence of the district they're leaving. Is that accurate?
Correct. Most parents transfer their kids through an inter-district transfer, and both the district they live in and the district they're going to have to say yes. District of choice, they declare themselves district of choice, then the district they live in can't say, no, we really want them. They have ADA that follows them.
So are school districts aware of this plan, and are they adopting this solution?
They are not aware. Some are, in those that learn about it, they look at their own situation. We've seen it grown from somewhere around 17 when I first, out of, how many? We got thousands school districts.
I think it's 10,000.
It's a bunch of them. So there's only like 47 participating, and 5 of those make up 80% of the students.
Where are those 5, basically?
There seem to be a lot in the Inland Empire, so San Gabriel Valley, Riverside also has it, and then there's some up in the kind of rural areas in Central Valley.
How, though, do the school districts avoid being cannibalized? Is there anything in the enabling legislation which sets some type of cap?
There is. It sets a 10%, first of all, 3% in any 1 year growth, and then a 10% overall cap.
So, for example, just so I can clarify, so District A is a district of choice. They can only take 3% from District B in any 1 year.
Correct.
Up to 10% capped.
Correct.
But they can go to District C and take?
Correct.
Okay. But how does the 10% cap work? Is it a rolling cap? If you drop below 10%, can you start adding more?
Good question. That's the way it had operated historically, and that's how the authors and those of us that extended it felt it was. And the courts came in and said the way it was actually worded, they opined that it was a lifetime cap. Once you hit 10%, you can never take a student out of that school district again.
Does that need, in your mind, a legislative fix?
The legislative analysts believe so, and I, as a former author, 3 times believe so as well.
So what do your friends in the legislature believe? I presume you need bipartisan support for something like this.
We need bipartisan support, so we're reaching out to other legislators now because we have a turnover every time I'm carrying this extension. We got new people, got to educate to it. So I'm not sure where we are in that process. We know we have to extend it. We know that we're getting some traction. I have some bipartisan support already.
I want to get a sense what the studies tell us about how both the district that's, quote, losing the students, how are they performing, and the districts that are gaining the students, how are they performing?
So the legislative analyst is our nonpartisan analyst that looks over our shoulders, looks at what we're doing and says, this is good, this is bad, whatever.
And I want to remind our viewers, legislative analyst is nonpartisan.
Correct. So they've looked at this, as we required in the last extension, we want some feedback. How is this program doing? Because you have the districts that are losing them saying, oh, it's a terrible program, it's cannibalizing us, like the word you use.
My word.
The others saying, oh, it's great, they're doing better programs now because we've changed all it. And so what the legislative analysts found was that the transfers were not cherry picking, that they were actually doing better. The districts that they were leaving, ironically, were doing better than...
Really?
Yes. And the districts they were going to were doing better. And the sense was that the districts that are leaving, just like in a business transaction, you lose customers, you figure out where am I losing them and why. So you find districts creating international baccalaureate programs, dual immersion programs. They're starting to, foster the type of innovations that are leading the students to go to another district.
It creates competition.
And that can be a good thing.
It can be. I want to get a sense, if we know, who are the students that are taking advantage of this program? Do we have a sense if there's any type of ethnic breakdown? Is there an economic advantage breakdown?
Well, on the economic advantage breakdown, and that was one of the criticisms, was they're cherry picking the rich kids, leaving the poor kids behind, and that would be a horrible thing. Well, what the legislative analysts found was 27% were low or reduced lunch, which is how you measure these things.
Sure.
But that's lower than the state average, but it's reflective of the communities they were coming from going to. So,
I see.
you know, it was sort of the background noise, it was all the same. And then you also have the ethnicity breakdown. We didn't have that as well either. With
I think I have it here. Yeah, it looks like 35% Anglo, 32% Latino, 24% API, 9% other.
Right.
But I do think, like you said, it's really the economic disadvantage question, I think, becomes more critical.
Right.
And so at 27%, that is below state average. And it does reflect community at a certain level, but should something be done? Should the author, should the LAO, should the districts get the word out? Because this is, at least, it creates options at a minimum.
What we're trying to look at, one of the early criticisms was that a school district in my district was advertising the program, and they felt they were targeting certain clients. So they said, okay, we won't advertise it anymore. But then that plays into this weakness that the LAO has found. A lot of districts don't know about it. So one thing we will be trying to do is foster this, at least putting it on the state website, the Department of Education, having perhaps each school district can put on, you know, different choice options that includes district of choice.
But can districts accept who they want through district of choice?
Once they declare they have X number of spaces available, they have to take whoever comes in. If they have more applicants than they have spaces, then they have to go to lottery, and it has to be a publicized meeting, so they can't do it in some smoke-filled room and cook the numbers.
So with transfer agreements, as I understand it, the district can decide whether to accept a student.
Correct.
But if you're a district of choice, you cannot decide. Is that causing a disincentive?
For some school districts, they prefer the known, their native student body, to the unknown who might come in, because it could be more expensive to educate them. So I've talked to some superintendents to say, yeah, we've looked at the program, we think it has some positives, we're concerned about the negatives. And that's what it is, it's the unknown.
So in the districts that have adopted district of choice, do you have a sense as to whether the numbers, the students are grabbing the slots as fast as possible? Are we getting to lottery, or is it still kind of a best kept secret?
No, it's doing what it should do. In a couple of them that I know of, they're approaching 30% of the student body are from outside of the district. Because you have over 50% of our school districts are in declining enrollment. You know, you build them up, as the housing stock ages, gets more valuable, you know, the people that aren't having kids, and so now you get these quality schools that are starting to decline. So you often see that's the case. You got a good school system, why not keep it going, you know? And so that gives parents who can actually get there an option.
How does this implicate, or how is the charter movement affected by this, if at all?
Well, you know, it's just another choice, because charters are public schools also, and they operate without the normal, you know, restrictions that we put up here. They have their own contract, which is the charter. So it's separate. They're just a little bit different. Charters tend to be more focused on particular disciplines and things.
Do you find that in districts that are district of choice, the charter movement is weaker?
I don't think we've seen any correlation. What we're lacking is data, which is why we finally get the legislative analysts has actually called around all the districts saying, are you in, are you out? If you're in, what's your experience? So we have a little bit of data, but we need to gather more.
So how far off are we for sunset? Is it about to sunset, or?
It's about to sunset. I need to carry the extension this year. And I think it's looking good, but we'll see. Because the first time I tried to carry this, I couldn't get it done legislative. We got it put in as a budget trailer bill back when they needed Republican votes. And so we just kind of worked that into the sausage. But since then, you know, we have done it legislatively with some caveats, you know, like the study this time.
Keep us up to date. We want to hear more about it. His name is Bob Huff. He is a member of the California State Senate, candidate for Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. I'm Brad Pomerance in Sacramento. It's Local Edition.